Okay, the second video on ellipses. Right, so part 2. Okay, so we're familiar with the equation, or actually in the first video you only saw the center at 0, 0. Now the center for these ellipses is not going to be at the origin at 0, 0. So that's what's going to be new. So let's look at that equation again. That is, I'll write it over here, x minus h squared over, and then sometimes this one will be a squared, which is the bigger number, or sometimes this one will be b squared, but that's the least of your worries right now, plus y minus k squared over b squared, right? Whichever number is bigger is the a squared, and whichever number is smaller is the b squared. So I don't want to write this formula twice. It's pretty much the same, right? Got to make sure it's equal to 1. This is the equation of an ellipse, okay? This is an equation of an ellipse where the center is h and k, right? It's not going to be x and y, because x and y is, these letters here stay there. That's part of the equation. But if you notice the x or the h is next to the x variable, so that's the one that goes in the x coordinate, and k is the one that's next to the y, so that's the k coordinate. But remember, you do the opposite. Whatever number's here, remember to do the opposite. So opposite of, just remember opposite. Opposite of whatever the numbers are there. So just keep that in mind, yes? You didn't really see this much in the first worksheet because the center was 0, 0. Remember, when the center is 0, 0, let me just write it off over, well, I'll just write it over here really small, but when the center is at 0, 0, you still have numbers. 0 is still a number, h is 0 and k is 0, but you won't see the parentheses. You'll just see x squared over a squared plus y squared. What am I writing? X squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared equals 1. See, you won't see parentheses with a 0, 0. But now you will. Okay, now you will. So this is where the center is at the origin. You won't see any number here. Okay, so an example would be something like x plus 5 squared over 25 plus y minus 2 squared over, let's say 49 equals to 1. Right, we first have to know what the, see, this is not just going to be x squared and y squared. See, this is how you know it's not at the origin. See, now the center you have to look up here. So the center for this ellipse is not going to be positive 5 and negative 2. You got to remember, you do the opposite of these numbers. That's why the equation has a negative. The negative is like kind of like saying not what you see there and not what you see there, or the opposite of, kind of like that's why in the equation you see a minus sign. So long story short, just the opposite. So this is positive 5, but for your x coordinate it'll be negative 5, and this is negative 2, but the opposite of negative 2 is positive 2. See, so that's it. Opposite, opposite. So to find your center, you look up here in the numerator to find the center. Okay, that's going to tell you where the center of the ellipse is. And now these are going to be your, how much you look under the x, how much you're going to have to move from the center left and right. And remember, this is, well, in this case, this one's b squared. Remember, these are squared numbers. These numbers are the squared numbers. This is also the bigger, we always say the bigger one is a squared, right? So this one in this case is a squared. So here you're going to have to go b is equal to what? Plus minus 5, right? The square root of 25. Oh, I forgot to do take the square root and take the square root, right? So you'll get b is equal to plus minus 5. And here for a squared, if a squared is 49, then, right, we take the square root. So you'll get a is equal to plus minus 7. So what does that all mean? Okay. So what does this all mean for this problem that I'm doing? Well, first, let's go ahead and put a point for the center here at negative 5, 2, right? I'm just kind of doing this one a little bit rough draft here, just freehand. Negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 5. Right, I'm plotting the center, negative 5, positive 2, right? The center will not be at the origin anymore. The center will be here at negative 5, positive 2. Boom. And long story short, from here, the center is where you start counting. You start counting left and right how much? Well, look at the x, right? X goes, x like your x-axis is left and right, and y is up and down, right? So here under the x squared was 25, but take the square root, so it's 5. 5 this way, oh perfect. 5 this way will be here, and 5 this way will be all the way, well, to like negative 10, right? If I'm at negative 5 and I go back 5, I'm at 0. If I'm at negative 5 and I back up 5 more, that's at negative 10. So these are your vertices. Now they are going to ask you for all of the vertices, as a matter of fact. That's another thing that's kind of new, but you've been doing that anyways. And then on the y, under the y squared is, right now I'm going to count how much up and down. Under the y squared, right, y is up and down, is 49, but the square root of 49 is 7, so I'm going to go 7. Well, I'm at 2, but I have to go up 7. You better believe it's what, like 2 plus 7 is all the way up to 9, so that's like way up here. It's going to be like way up there. Right, I got to go, right, I went 5 this way, and I went 5 this way. Now I'm going to go 7 this way, and 7 this way. If I'm at 2, and I got to go 7 this way, that'll bring you down to negative 5, right? So this is why it's an ellipse. It doesn't have, right, we went 5 and 5 this way and this way, and then we went a total distance another way. And that's why it's an ellipse. It's not a circle, right? It's not a perfect radius. Now we went 7 and 7. So remember, the longer one is your major axis. Okay, but long story short, it's not going to be a circle because it doesn't have the constant distance left, right, up, and down. It does 5, 5 left, right, and then it does 7, 7, which is a lot more. That creates your ellipse, right? So this one will be, graphing it. Graphing it will look like this. But you're counting from the center. You're counting from the center. You got to keep that in mind. If this center, I would write it down if I were you, negative 5 and 2. If I'm here at negative 5, 2, and on the x I go 5 backwards, well, the lucky thing for you, have a coordinate axis. You're gonna name all of these points. So this is negative 5, 2, and I go back 2. Well, this one is now what? 0, 2. And this one is now what? Negative 10, 2. Right? The y value didn't change. But I was at negative 5 and I went to the right 5, so that's why you're at 0 on the x. And you're at negative 5 on the x, and then you went 5 more, and that's why you're at negative 10, 2. So this is 2 pieces of information. But these are the vertices, right? The ones are the major, the vertices, the main vertices, the ones that are on the major axis, right on the longer side. Those will be your vertices, what they call your vertices. These other ones now that you're gonna call out, these other ones here, they call them the co-vertices. So there's the vertices, which are these two, the main ones on the main. So this one now, the x doesn't change. See, now that the negative 5 doesn't change. Now you're looking at y. From y you go up 7, so that's going to be what? You're at negative 5 still, but you're at negative 5 and at level 2, or the second floor, and you add 7 more. This is going to be what? Negative 5, 9. Yeah? And you'll have a coordinate plane, so you'll be able to, you know, figure this out. And then if I'm at negative 5, 2, again, it's not moving from the x. From the x, it's still here at negative 5. But I'm at positive 2, and I got to go down 7. So 2 and 5. So this will be what? Still negative 5 on the x and negative 5 on the y. So these will be your vertices. What you'll see on the answer sheet, when they say the vertices are the ones on the major axis, the longer side. The vertices will be the 2 points on the major axis, which is negative 5 and 9, and negative 5, negative 5. Right? Those will be the vertices. The other two they're going to call out also, but these are called the co-vertices. And that's, what is this? Negative 10, 2. And 0, 2. All right. And then the center we already established in the beginning. So they're going to ask you for all this information. You're going to have to identify the center. You're going to have to graph it. And you're going to have to provide the coordinates for the vertices and also the co-vertices. Not too bad. All right, the other video, I'll have the graph paper. I'll have the worksheet that I provided there. So if you can print it out, good. Okay, watch the second video. I'm going to work on some problems really fast. Okay. Watch the second video, the next video.